He discovers his greatest role, impersonating Tom Longboat, the legendary Canadian Indigenous Olympian, while the real Longboat is dodging bullets. On the battlefields of World War I, Laplante is being paraded around Arizona and California, giving athletic tips, collecting appearance fees, and soaking up the attention meant for a hero. In a world without Google or mass media, a convincing story and a little bit of resemblance is all it takes to become a living legend. If you're ready to uncover more secrets behind the world's most fascinating cons, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. That way, you'll never miss the next twist in the world of cons, and you'll always be one step ahead of the game. Picture America at the dawn of the 20th century, a land of carnivals, jazz, and endless reinvention. Edgar Laplante was born in 1888 in Providence, Rhode Island, to a family of French-Canadian descent. His father was a carpenter, his mother a seamstress, and Edgar was the youngest of 9 children in a cramped, noisy house. From an early age, he was drawn to the stage, mimicking accents and telling wild stories to anyone who would listen. In the blue-collar streets of Rhode Island, a restless boy is already dreaming bigger than his father's carpenter shop. The melting pot of early 20th century America was a place where identity was fluid. Laplante quickly learned that a convincing act could open doors that were closed to most immigrants. The vaudeville circus and the carnival midway became his classroom, teaching him that in a world hungry for spectacle, the right costume and a bold story could make you anyone you wanted to be. By 14, he's already running his first scams, conning shopkeepers for spare change, not for survival, but for the thrill. For Laplante, the real reward was never money. It was the applause, the spotlight, and the freedom to become anyone he wished. By his 20s, the bright lights of Coney Island call. Laplante dons a feathered headdress and beads, working as a ballyhoo man, luring crowds to see the exotic wonders of the amusement park. But the carnival isn't enough. He wants more. More applause, more adoration, more stage. But Laplante is just getting started. He reinvents himself as Chief White Elk, the self-proclaimed leader of the Cherokee Nation, or the Iroquois, depending on the day. He marries a prominent indigenous activist in Utah, is vetted by governors, and tours the US and Canada as a celebrity, performing to pack houses with his wife, now Princess White Elk, at his side. He even claims to have starred in silent films alongside Rudolph Valentino, dazzling the press with tales of Hollywood and heroism. The con grows grander. Laplante sails to Europe, where he's welcomed as royalty. In Britain, he nearly secures an audience with King George V, only to be unmasked by sharp-eyed journalists. Undeterred, he heads to France and then the Riviera, where he meets Countess Antoinette, Kevin Hewler-Metch, and her stepdaughter, Melania. With a mix of romance and bravado, Laplante convinces them that he's not just chief, but an oil baron and a distant cousin. They shower him with money and jewels, believing his fortune is tied up by the British government and will soon be theirs. He's given the silver key to Trieste, receives papal blessings, and even gets a nod from Mussolini. Laplante spends their fortune, equivalent to $60 million today, in a single year, living like true royalty, always one step ahead of suspicion. But addiction and arrogance catch up. His behavior spirals. His stories grow wilder. And eventually, the Countess's stepson has him arrested for fraud. Laplante is convicted in Italy and spends years behind bars. But even prison can't keep him from spinning new tales. After his release, Laplante is deported to the United States, where journalists await, hungry for the next chapter in the saga of Chief White Elk. He claims he's reformed, ready for a quiet life. But the truth is, he can't stop performing. The applause, the headlines, the thrill of the con. He's addicted to it all. He dies in obscurity in Arizona in 1942, registered under yet another alias, White Eagle Dr. Indian Male. No headlines, no crowds, just a bureaucratic footnote for a man who once tricked kings, countesses, and the world itself. The lesson? Edgar Laplante's greatest con wasn't just about money. It was about identity, fame, and the intoxicating power of reinvention. He proved that in an age hungry for spectacle, a clever story and a borrowed costume could make you a king, a chief, or anyone you dare to become. That's the legend of Edgar Laplante, the jazz age's greatest imposter, the man who sold the world an exotic dream and lived it, if only for a moment, on the grandest stage of all. As the feathers are packed away and the crowds disperse, Laplante's story lingers, a testament to the power of reinvention. But what made his exotic masquerade so effective? Let's analyze the cultural fascination with the other and how identity itself can become the ultimate con. Edgar Laplante's extraordinary success began with a fearless acceptance of human nature's fascination with novelty, celebrity, and the exotic. As Frank Abagnale Jr. puts it, people only know what you tell them. Laplante understood that with enough confidence and a compelling story, people will believe almost anything, especially when it promises something extraordinary. He didn't judge these impulses, he harnessed them, knowing that the hunger for wonder and status could override even the sharpest minds. Rather than overtly demanding admiration or riches, Laplante masked his intent behind carefully crafted personas, most famously Chief White Elder. He used costume, language, ritual, and performance to let others discover his supposed authenticity. By never directly declaring himself a fraud or a genius, Laplante allowed audiences to draw their own conclusions, making the illusion more durable and the belief more personal. Laplante's masquerade thrived on incongruity, an outsider who seemed to embody the exotic, the forbidden, the unknown. This out-of-place quality instantly captured attention and curiosity. His charisma and theatrical flair transformed each appearance into a spectacle. By weaving himself into the company of politicians, royalty, and celebrities, Laplante manipulated social proof and authority, making others more likely to trust and admire him. The halo effect ensured that anyone so admired and well-connected must be genuine. Laplante's cons worked because they satisfied several hidden addictions and deep psychological needs. The first was the need for hope. Audiences and victims craved something new and different, a break from the ordinary, the thrill of the exotic. The next was secret knowledge. Being in the know about a mysterious figure gave people a sense of exclusivity and sophistication. Then there was the need to be right. Once someone bought into Laplante's persona, their ego became invested in defending its authenticity, making them less likely to question inconsistencies. Then there's the need for power and status. Associating with or discovering the exotic gave people a sense of importance, status, and belonging. Many were motivated by the admiration for fame and the allure of associating with a noble or celebrated figure. Laplante's operation followed the classic confidence game formula, the approach. He adopted identities that played into cultural fantasies and stereotypes about the exotic other or celebrity hero. The build-up, costume, language, forged documents, and performance built credibility and intrigue. The convincer. He offered just enough mystery, spectacle, and social proof to make people want to believe. The hoorah. Audiences and admirers, swept up in the excitement, spread the legend further, cementing Laplante's status. In a world hungry for spectacle, sometimes the greatest illusion is the one we choose to believe, the blow-off. When the truth emerged, many rationalized their belief or clung to the fantasy, reluctant to admit that they'd been fooled. For many, the embarrassment wasn't just public, it was personal. A reminder of how easily hope and wonder can cloud even the sharpest judgment. Even after exposure, many supporters rationalized their enthusiasm, blaming their desire for wonder or Laplante's charisma, rather than admitting that they'd been deceived. Laplante's own psychological resilience and lack of shame allowed him to reinvent himself repeatedly, moving on to new audiences and new personas whenever his schemes unraveled. Laplante's psychological success lay in his charisma, storytelling, and manipulation of authority and social proof. His victims' susceptibility stemmed from a desire for status and discovery. Businessmen, politicians, and socialites wanted to be associated with greatness or novelty. People trusted what appeared to be validated by celebrities or public spectacle. Charisma and connections blinded the people to inconsistencies. In an era before easy background checks, forged documents and public performances were enough to cement a persona. The allure of associating with a famous or noble figure overrode caution. Laplante's story endures because it reveals how easily identity can be constructed and how eagerly people will buy into it when it satisfies their hidden desires for novelty, wonder, status, and belonging. By masking intent, capturing attention with incongruity, and feeding hidden addictions, Laplante made the exotic irresistible and turned reinvention into an art form. His tale is a timeless warning. In the pursuit of the extraordinary, even the sharpest minds can be seduced by the power of a well-told story and a convincing mask. What happens when a con artist doesn't work alone, but turns deception into a family business? Next time, we dive into the jaw-dropping saga of the Kimes family, a mother-son duo whose web of scams, frauds, and even murder shocked America. How did Santi and Kenny Kimes manipulate, charm, and terrify their way from high society to FBI's most wanted list? And what drove them to push every boundary of greed and loyalty? Don't miss this chilling tale of ambition, betrayal, and the dark side of family ties. Subscribe now so you never miss the next unbelievable twist in the world's greatest con.